Your AI sidekick has arrived. That's right. Turn off the bat signal because Blaze is here to save the day. Blaze is an AI sidekick for overwhelmed teams of one just like you. Brainstorm and outline content ideas with AI. Go from idea to on brand content in minutes. Turn a blog post into 10 plus asset types, ads, social posts, emails, and more. Collaborate with colleagues in real time and get content approved. Go to drT23.site. That is DRT23.site. Navigate to Blaze and download today. On this week's episode, we will dive deep into divisional round rookies and see who showed up. We also will talk about the final four, yes, and then there were four. Who's your pick? And who do you think has the juice to get to the Super Bowl? And oh, yeah, somebody got fired. It's time for a win is a win. Let's go, y'all.
It's time for the Rookie Rundown.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back, and thank you for taking the time out to join A Win is a Win for this jam-packed episode. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast, and tell someone to tell somebody else to join A Win is a Win family. And somewhere on your listening device, there is a little notification bell. Go ahead and tap that to get your necessary notifications when a new episode drops. One of the most impressive rookies during the divisional round was CJ Stroud. Granted, he didn't have the best statistical performance, but the offensive line was unable to hold up for him against a vaunted Baltimore Ravens defensive front. They are ferocious. Now, Stroud still managed to complete around 60% of his passes for 175 yards and didn't turn the ball over. That's impressive. The Houston Texans might be eliminated now, but Stroud is going to be the future for the franchise, I'm sure, without a doubt. Another rookie that showed out was Rashee Rice of the Chiefs. Yes, Rashee hauled in 4 receptions for 47 yards with a touchdown against the Buffalo Bills. And while that doesn't seem like a lot on the surface, Rice genuinely become one of the most trusted targets for Mahomes. That relationship has seemed to build quite nicely. The fact that he's been so consistent at catching the football makes the Chiefs team a whole lot more dangerous. Finally, we will cannot go without mentioning Brian Branch of those Detroit Lions. Listen, Branch was all over the field during the Lions win over the Bucks. Now he ended with 9 total tackles, with 8 of them being solo. On top of that, he had a huge sack and recorded a lot of stuff on a run. Without Branch, the game could have been a lot different down there in Motown. Lot of rookies are going to have some big jobs here during these last 4 games. Who will show up and who will show out? We're going to have another jam-packed episode after this Sunday to catch up and see which rookies did what. Campus Gridiron up next.
Let's see what's up with our Campus Gridiron.
Some big news over at college football. Now, with Jed Fish going into the head coaching position at Washington, news came out not long after that their former head coach, Kalen DeBoer, took a new job to replace Nick Saban. Well, guess who were the last people to find out about this change? The players. The players had not a clue that their coach was headed over to Roll Tide. Now, along with that, we're also currently seeing multiple teams from the Pac 12 join the Big Ten. So, Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA will be going over to the Big Ten. Meanwhile, Utah, Arizona State, Colorado, and Arizona are going to the Big 12. And finally, Cal and Stanford will go into the ACC. Lots and lots are lots and lots of things happening within NC2A, and next year will be, in my opinion, very explosive. And I'm sure this will happen. All of your major networks are now going to start presenting huge packages for games on Saturdays, probably bigger or just as big as NFL games. Sports news up next.
Let's get into the sports news.
Well, the biggest sports news is finally here. And then there were four. We now know the four top teams that are battling to the road to Vegas. So, on the right side, we have the battle of the AFC, the Ravens and the Chiefs. And on the left side, we have the battle for the NFC, the Lions and the 49ers. When you're looking at the Ravens and the Chiefs, there's no question that the Ravens need to win this game. They felt like they could be contenders in the last couple of years with Lamar Jackson, yet something always happens. This year, they have an unbelievable roster from top to bottom. They have a defense that, listen, racked up a league leading 60 sacks, my Lord. Baltimore has a much better roster than Kansas City. And that's really the only reason that people are giving them the edge over the Chiefs because, well, let's face it, the Chiefs' offensive line minus Travis Kelce is not that deep. But somehow, Patrick Mahomes seems to win games despite having a genuine lack of offensive playmakers. I think Baltimore has the edge, and they need to win this a lot more than the Chiefs, in my opinion, who won the Super Bowl last year. I think it's their season. We shall see. As for the Lions and the 49ers, it seems obvious that the 49ers hold the current advantage. San Francisco on paper, likely, listen, I'm going to go back. On paper, likely has an advantage over anybody they go up against. The talent on their roster is unbelievable, though there are two things that can hold them back. Brock Purdy has never played in a championship game. If you recall, when they did play, he was hurt. So, first, you have the nerves of Purdy, as I said before. Now, on the second is whether or not Debo will play after suffering that shoulder injury in the last game. If neither of those things happen, it's hard to see them losing. However, Detroit has always won because of their grit, their heart, their toughness. The Lions are a well coached team, top to bottom, that is fighting for their city. And we've seen it time and time again. Detroit might not be the better team, nor are they favored to win, but they need this victory for Detroit. I'm giving the edge to Detroit in this game. If you watched Green Bay and 49ers, Purdy was the worst player on the field. When Debo went out, things got a little bit shaky, and he did just what he needed to do to win the game. So who has the juice? Well, can the 49ers be the dog that everyone's saying they are? Or will the Lions show up with that grit and that Detroit toughness and that defense and that offense like they have? Or are the Baltimore Ravens going to allow Mahomes and company to fly in and take the W? We shall see and get more in depth in these bets during Bet Masters. But right now, Sunday is going to be a jam-packed day for football, top to bottom. Two things will happen for sure. One, two teams are going home. And the other, two teams bought their ticket straight to Vegas. Injury report up next.
Who's hurt? Who's ready to go? Time for the injury report.
The largest injury news, of course, is Deebo Samuel. Samuel has been limited in practice this week with the shoulder injury from the last game, though it feels like he might suit up for the biggest game of the year. Of course, alternatively, if he misses this game, the entire 49ers game plan will alter. If he suits up, we might see San Francisco potentially at their best. Well, Mark Andrews of the Ravens potentially may make a return. Now, he's been rumored to be working back from an injury that was supposed to keep him out all season. He just barely missed out last week in the divisional round, and now he's preparing to take another crack at returning this weekend against the Chiefs. With him back, Baltimore has two great tight ends to worry about in himself and Isaiah Likely. Now, lastly, the Chiefs, all-pro guard Thuney is unlikely to suit up for this game in a game against the best defensive line in the league. Now, Thuney's absence will be felt for sure. His official status was changed to doubtful after practicing on Thursday, and it certainly seems like he'll remain in doubtful. I do not think that he will return after his injury. Kansas City will have a hole to fill on the offensive line because the Ravens are coming. 6 rushers in your face. I can envision it now. So that will be a workaround for sure for the Chiefs. Nonetheless, injuries or not, these games are going to be amazing. Betmasters up next. Looking for some quality betting picks? Well, download the Discord app and join our group Betmasters Lounge, where you can get positive EV and arbitrage along with best bets and parlays. Download Discord now, send us an invite, and get in on the action.
It's a bet. Time for Bet Masters.
Well, it's only 2 games left, but we have a whole lot to bet on here. The first bet that I would make is taking the Chiefs as the dog and to cover the spread. They are underdogs by 3.5 points, and it's hard to see Mahomes and company losing by over 3 points, even with a less talented team. They always keep the games close, and this one shouldn't be any different, regardless if they win or lose. Alternatively, look at the lines and see exactly what the lines are telling you before you put the bet in. I would 100% go arbitrage betting on all of these games. Get your lines from different books. Bet the dog on draft, bet the favorite on fan or whatever book that you're subscribed to, and make some money either way on either book or both. Never know. The next thing to bet on will be taking the Detroit Lions as a 7.5 point underdog. Now, Detroit made it this far for a reason, and yet they're expected to lose by over a touchdown. I don't think so. That doesn't sit right with me. And I believe they'll cover the spread, potentially even winning the game outright if they get off to a hot start. And that's where the money lies. You're either going to have to cover the spread or you're going to have to win outright. And the lines on this 49ers and um, Lions game, Vegas got it wrong twice. So, what do you do as a bettor? You make the most of that and get in on different books and place these bets. $10 here, $5 here on different books. Make the most of your money. Finally, I'll bet on excuse me. Finally, I'll bet on the Chiefs and the Ravens game to hit the over in the over under in points. Now they'll have a total of 44 and a half right now, and it's likely that both teams can combine to surpass that total. Definitely go with the over. Mahomes and the offense will score points eventually, and the Ravens offense is impossible to hold under 10 points with Lamar Jackson on his feet running and the company that he keeps. I would definitely go with the over. Look at the books, look at the lines, and if you are on the apps when the games are going, get in on the live betting. There are promotions all over the place for tomorrow's games. Sunday will be lit, okay? Look at the lines, bet the quarters, bet the halves. Be smart and don't go crazy, but live betting will get you a little bit of change. In the post up next. Over in the NBA, the Bucks shockingly fired their head coach, Adrian Griffin, after just half a season. They instantly hired Doc Rivers afterwards quickly. Now, in my opinion, Doc Rivers will never go to a team where he wasn't already for certain that he was going to be the head coach. Lets me know there might have been some conversation prior to the firing, although Rivers had already been there with Adrian as kind of a mentor. Now, the coaching change is surprising considering that Milwaukee was still 30 and 13 at the time he was fired. Clearly, it was something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. What we do know is that Rivers was hired due to the experience of dealing with, obviously, superstars. Also, we saw the Los Angeles Lakers decline more than ever. Well, Los Angeles is just 23 and 23 on the season, and their roster feels like it's a hot mess once again. Some of the players that people anticipated to take a jump haven't done that. Newly signed Gabe Vincent has only played 5 games. Hachimura averages just 11.1, maybe zero point 0.2 points per game. Vanderbilt has missed over 20 games. Russell is in the center of trade talks following his poor efficiency and much more. Los Angeles will be at the deadline looking to move people around for another season in a row. I'm going to go back to the Bucks situation. There's a lot of talk about the locker room, and Griffin lost the players, and you have Giannis wanted him gone. And that very well may be true. But I very, very strongly feel in these type of situations that we should just hang back from making these types of comments. We are not there. We are not players. We are not in the locker room. Not one, two, or three of the players have come out and said that that was an issue. Not anyone that's a quote unquote source has come out and said that. It's all speculation, no different than, hey, as you guys know, I'm from Cleveland. It was all of that speculation between LeBron and Dan Gilbert. And he's the reason that certain players were traded or brought onto the team. And ultimately, Dan Gilbert is the reason why he left. Unsupported talk. I'm the type of person where I need to hear it from the player currently, or maybe after they retire, or maybe they talk about it when they feel like talking about it. But to assume that that was the problem because, well, why? Giannis is more verbal now, and Giannis is cursing more, and he's in the National Basketball Association. He was going to change eventually, just like Wemby. He's getting a little bit more dog in him. He's getting his weight up. He realizes that this is not France. This is the United States, and National Basketball Association is tougher. It happens. But we shall see what Doc Rivers can do. Most people are down on Rivers because he hasn't won a chip since 2008 with Boston, and he failed to deliver when he was with the 76ers. Well, he had Embiid, Tiff. I get that. But Doc Rivers has always been a coach of the players. He's a player's coach. He can turn young boys into grown men, and perhaps, maybe, just maybe, that is what the organization saw. But again, that's an assumption. Whatever the case may be, Griffin is out, Doc is in, and we'll see what happens. That's going to end it for this week's episode of A Win is a Win. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast, and tell someone to tell somebody else to join A Win is a Win. Listen for us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the Black Effect Network. Coming soon, we will be on Apple Podcast. Take care.